Rosemont, which is nowhere near Chicago, and the surrounding counties. Big warm welcome for Mr. Jensen and Jared Padalecki.
Hey guys. Anybody been outside recently? Y'all have some jacked up weather here for April.
I'm not convinced it's not HBO. I feel like Game of Thrones today. Winter is here.
We're trying to upstage us and the Star Wars convention.
Yeah.
One fell swoop.
Yeah, some crazy weather. You guys have interesting spring showers. We're stoked to be here. Glad we got here before the weather did. Not sure if we're getting out, but we're stoked to be here. So, what's that?
Party.
Party? Yeah. Yeah. You got a place? Perfect.
It's way too far north for Mikasa Sukasa. We see that kind of stuff in Texas. It's like, my house is your house, eh? My house, eh, is your Canadian thing.
What are we in Moose Jaw? We're in Illinois.
There's a lake or something. Yeah, it's a little nuts. Anybody else running the Boston Marathon tomorrow at 6 a.m.?
No.
Not anybody.
Intelligent people.
It's gonna be like planes, trains, and automobiles.
You might not be.
It might not be. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Whatever's safe.
Been a lot of canceled flights.
But we'll keep our hopes high.
But we're here.
Yeah. You fine folks and folkettes.
He's trying to talk us into a pajama watching party tonight. I don't.
What's wrong with clean pajamas? What is wrong with clean pajamas? Thanks for waiting around a little bit.
My question is this: since you guys are, kind of tying up some loose ends, do you think you'll do any behind the scenes? Will you direct this season, 15?
Yes, as I understand, I will be directing this. And as far as behind the scenes stuff goes, I would imagine that we haven't heard anything or signed off on anything, but I would imagine going into the final season that there will be a lot of BTS things going on. What those are, we don't know yet, but I'm sure that the publicity department over at the network and the studio are all kind of putting their heads together and trying to cook up some ideas. So
yeah, I know that I personally have I've run into a dozen or so family and friends since season 14 wrapped, and I think every single person was like, "Hey, so we were talking about coming to Vancouver this year. We'd love to see the set. It's your last season." I'm like, "We've done 14 seasons. You don't want to ask another, I think I could have 10 people show up every single day and not go through any repeats. Everybody I know is like, hey, last season, we could come up and visit, right? Like, seriously? Like, now? It's like my mom, I tease her every time she comes up to visit. We'll have this great weekend, and, they're playing with the kids, and we're all hanging out. And then as we're saying our goodbyes, the drive back to San Antonio, she's like, oh, by the way, I have these 15 autographs for you to sign. I'm like, Mom, you've been here for 72 hours. You could have said, hey, not during emotional goodbyes. So I think we'll have I know there are a lot of people that want to see kind of the making of season 15, myself included. So, yeah, we'll try and make sure that happens. Thank you.
Great.
Excellent. So the last episode ended with Mary getting her initials carved into the table. I just wanted to know if Cass is ever going to get to do that.
No.
He's not a Winchester.
Yes, he is.
What would it be, JN? What would his initials be?
CW, Cass
No.
Winchester.
No, that's our network. His initials would have to be his vessel that he killed. Jimmy Novak. It'd have to be JM. What?
I'm sorry, who are we talking about?
The final one.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, we're gonna bring Adam back for AW, CW, all the W's. The what?
JW.
JW. Yeah, my favorite Marriott. Yeah, I don't know. He'd have to do it himself, so it depends on whether or not Cass wants to defile one of our pieces of furniture. Again.
Imagine we walk into the middle letters one day and it's like every character's name has been carved into the table. It's just, it's like a guest book.
Woman in White, Winchester.
Had a great time. Thanks, guys. See you next year.
July 3rd.
We wish you all the best.
Thanks for the prime rib.
I used to have one of those guest books. We had it like in the front entryway of our house, like on the little table thing. I don't know what the name of it is. Yeah, the table thing. I think that's the problem. But on the front of it, it just had a phrase that said, you know, guest book, and then it said, guests are like fish. They begin to smell after 3 days. Worked. Yeah. People would leave. They'd get the message as soon as they walked through the door. Yeah, we talked. You know, it's funny. We talked about in my meet and greet about just that image of the SWDW, and now that that's changed, because that was such kind of an iconic image for quite a long time to just have those two initials carved together, the way that they were carved, and now that that's kind of been, we'll say, added to. If that changes kind of what that image means a little bit. And apparently some people were conflicted about it. I guess I am too, like, because I love what that meant. But I also love what it means to have Mom there now. It was kind of like the memory of her will never die kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about it. I was like, I bet in the next season there's going to be a lot of those iconic images of the show brought up and maybe messed with, because that makes for some good entertainment, in my opinion. So, yeah, it probably won't be the last.
I think you should sign the underside of the table. You know? That way it's like, hey, guess what?
Or like the chair, one of the chairs, so it's like easily removable. No, but then easily brought back if you know, like. Sir. Cass is here, get the chair, put it back. Oh, hey Cass, how's it going? Yeah, no, it's right there. Yeah, we gotta figure it out, thanks.
Time looks out. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, hey Cass.
We didn't mean it. We didn't mean it.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Thanks, asshole. Like,
Hello. I was wondering if there was any question that you never get asked or you really wish someone would ask, if you could please tell us what that is and then answer it.
my brain hurts. If there was a question...
Jared, does your brain hurt?
I always hoped somebody would ask me that. Yes, it does. Funny you should ask.
I thought so. Your expression gave it away.
Jensen, what made you think to ask that?
I'm glad you asked.
Is there a question other than what question is your favorite question with every question as well? Well said.
That wasn't what I didn't ask what your favorite question is. I asked what question you wish you would get asked that you never do.
How do you know it's not my favorite question then? So you don't have my favorite question, just a question. I can tell you a question I never want to ask.
Yeah, that's a longer list. Question. I don't know. We've been asked a lot of questions, not just at events like this, but by reporters, by friends, family. I don't know that there's a question out there that I'm dying for somebody to ask me. And if there was, I'm not sure that I'd have the answer. Like, where does the end of the universe lie?
I'm not going to tell you.
See, now my brain hurts. Let me turn it on you. Is there a question that you always wanted to have been asked and never have been asked?
Possibly.
Like, why would you choose that character to dress up as?
Actually, now that you mention it, I would like to answer that question. It's because I relate very strongly to that character, and it's very meaningful to me.
That's a great answer.
There you go.
And I'm glad I asked that question.
That was the ultimate. That was the ultimate in reverse psychology. It was like
Somehow I feel like I lost in that whole situation. But I'm okay with it. That was a great answer.
I think we've just been programmed as married men that are fathers. And you know, your wife comes and says, "Hey, what do you want for dinner? I want to have what you want." And you go, "I don't know. What do you want for dinner? I want McDonald's." "Okay, let's go." Damn it! How did I fall for that again?
Or more like this. What do you think you're doing? What do you think I'm doing?
Stop.
Yeah. Thank you.
All of us can probably attest to that. And best of luck tomorrow running. I don't know how you do that, but okay. My question is, if you could switch places with us who stand here and wait to talk to you and have your super fan sitting in the chair, who would it be and what would you ask them? And I also need to know, Jensen, what's on your queued up on your Spotify right now?
Why don't you take the first part of that question?
God. Alive or dead? Is this one of those sort of...
No. What would you ask if we were to go in the audience and...
Yeah, I'm saying, is this like one of those if you could have lunch with anybody?
No. She's asking, what would you ask a super fan that was sitting on stage if it was...
Oh!
Yeah, what question would you ask your
I misunderstood that
fans?
question.
He's been training for a marathon. He's not firing on all cylinders.
I already didn't find
His brain hurts.
My brain hurts. God, that's a great question. Man, I've never had so many questions of what would your question be if you could ask a question.
They've run out of questions for this.
The question is,
They're now
what
asking
kind of
us
question
to
would you
ask
ask?
our own questions. You see what's happening here, right?
My question to you would be, has there ever been a question that you really hope someone would ask you? And if so, what is the question and what is your answer?
I ask a question to ask you a question, what question you would want to answer.
See, you know that I know that, and I know that you know that I know that, and you know that I know that you know that I know that, but the question is, but I wanted you to know that I know that you know that I know that. So would you answer the question with an answer, or would you question the answer with a further question?
Still got it!
What are you about to listen to?
I don't know. I'd have to think about long and hard about what the question they really, because I do have questions for you guys, and one day maybe I can sit there and be like, no, you want to come up here? Okay. What do I have on? Lucas Nelson right now. I'm listening to Lucas Nelson. That's Willie Nelson's son.
Me too.
So what is each of your favorite parts of Chicago?
Oh, that was going somewhere else for a second. What's your favorite part?
Part of me.
Oh, no, I understand.
I have a favorite. I used to have a favorite part of Chicago. I came here when I was a sophomore in high school, and this is actually the first place I ever professionally worked. When I was a senior in high school, I did a pilot, and it filmed in Chicago, and it never went. But this is the first place I kind of dipped my toe into professional acting. But I came here and competed when I was a sophomore in high school, and y'all still had the rock and roll McDonald's downtown. And this is, mind you, this is this is a 15-year-old kid out of San Antonio, Texas, grew up in suburbia, and I wanted to go, I forget what the story was. We were here with drama, and we were eating at maybe the Rainforest Cafe or something. Yeah, and I wanted to walk to the, isn't it right next to the, okay, so I wanted to walk to the Rock and Roll McDonald's and take pictures, because my mom had heard about it and wanted to see pictures of it. And so I told my teacher, I was like, hey, while we wait for the food, can I walk the 2 blocks? And my teacher's like, well, it's, you don't really walk around Chicago by yourself. And he sent me with one of the seniors, whose name is Sean Hall. And so Sean was, 18 years old. He was a senior. I was 15. I was a sophomore. And Sean was a little more savvy than I was. I think he grew up, in a bigger city. And so we're walking to the Rock and Roll McDonald's. And I don't think I'd ever really run across somebody who, on the street, who asks you for money. Like, hey, spare some change kind of thing. And, not a word of a lie, we go to the Rock and Roll McDonald's, take some pictures. You remember you have to kind of like skinny up in all the little hallways and take pictures of all the cool memorabilia. And then on the way back to the Rainforest Cafe, sure enough, this guy approaches us and asks me if he can have $5. And my instinct, I was kind of taken aback, and so I responded with, I'm sorry, I only have big bills. To which Sean Hall just went, we're going. And I was like, that's really the wrong thing to say. And I feel like the guy, he gave me a very enigmatic look. I think he sort of was like, I probably should rob this kid, but he's just too dumb.
He's gonna need those big bills.
He's gonna need those big bills to buy a train ticket home. So I think that area holds a special. I ended up going back there a couple years later with my parents when I shot the pilot when I was a senior in high school. So that kind of area, wherever that is, kind of pops in my head.
And like, she started crying, and she was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. 2 more layers to go, guys. Yeah, she kind of looked like this. Well, she's like sweating. This has been a journey of a lifetime. Playing not only this character, but playing this character alongside, friends that will be friends for a lifetime. And it is, like somebody said earlier, it is certainly, in my eyes, part of the legacy that I feel like I've been able to create alongside with Jared and Misha and our crew and guest cast and all those involved and with you guys. And it's, I would say that the character that I play has certainly affected my life, not just from, being a part of Supernatural and all that that's done for me and like he said, with family and friends, but just playing this character and taking this journey, this emotional and physical journey that he has gone through has certainly parlayed its way into my real life in certain aspects. We also get to use what we do as a escape. I get to dive into Dean Winchester and forget all about Jensen for those moments when the camera's rolling and I get to be this character and I get to tell his story and I get to use maybe emotions that I've got bottled up from my own personal experiences, and I get to exercise those as this character, and it's almost like a therapy session every time I get to go on set, and so I think that it's certainly affecting both professionally and personally, playing these characters and telling these stories, and it's one of the greatest experiences in my life.
Agreed. Agreed 100%, and I don't remember exactly what it is that he just said, but what triggered this? I mean, I agreed what he said, but there was something specific he said. I can't remember what sentence it was, but not only, to go further with what he was saying, not only do I get to learn from Sam, as he gets to learn from Dean, but I also feel like Jared has learned to forgive himself a little bit more, because Sam has done some things that aren't entirely characteristic that maybe you wouldn't be proud of on paper, but he's kept kind of moving forward. And so I've not only learned from the things I respect about Sam, but I've also learned to forgive myself, much like Sam. and Dean have forgiven Sam's transgressions or whatever. So thank you for being a part.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
I remember I was.
What's like the first thing that comes to mind? I'm sure if you sat and thought about it, you'd be like, oh no, actually, that was, but what's just like when somebody says,
Yes. I was.
boom, childhood memory.
Okay.
Go.
I was swimming. I was in a race against the millions.
Congratulations, you won. How's it feel to be a winner?
That's the last time. That's the one thing I've ever won.
You're all winners.
Yes, yes. Let's hear yours, Mr. Sporty Pants.
That was the earliest? Nothing before that?
Nothing appropriate. I remember learning to ride a bike. Yeah, I must have been 8 or 9. Just kidding. I think I was like 3 or 4. And I remember my dad taking the training wheels off and running alongside me. And I pedaled until I fell. I must have been about 3 or 4 points.
I don't know. There's a few. I do vividly remember this because there was a stretch of time where I did this every single day, and that was get up and put my sheriff's cowboy hat on, my leather sheriff's vest, my boots, and a little 6-shooter cap guns. Every single day, it was like the gun belt hanging over the chair in my room, and I'd crawl out of bed and, I'd get all geared up, and I'd ka-ching.
He was already bow-legged.
I was. This probably explains the bow legs. And I'd go and sit down and just motor through a bowl of Cheerios, and then out the back door I went to play whatever kind of made-up, make-believe games kids played back then, because there were no video games, and there were no iPads. And I remember being outside all day, and climbing fences, and falling out of trees, and use my cap guns and shooting squirrels and stuff. Obviously, the squirrel would be like, "You're an idiot." And then eventually I just hear my mom yell, and that meant it was time for lunch. So I remember those days. I remember that time period in my life, and that was pretty cool. And kids have a different childhood these days. It's a little different. But I think that was something special, growing up in an era without internet and electronics and all that kind of thing.
I feel like, like we always talk about the episode we want to see. It's like, what about when they do their laundry? Like, what happens aside from all this stuff, and not just about doing laundry or whatever? I know a lot of laundry fans out there. Love me some Gain.
What's your favorite soap?
Are you a gay man?
I'm a gay man. Downy softener. Little sheet.
You use softener?
No. What do you like, cardboard? Like this? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm soft enough. I don't know, it just sounded good.
Just it's all right.
That led me to wonder, what is the naughtiest thing your children have done that you could not laugh in their presence about, but you laugh every time you retell the story?
feel like something happens like on a bi-weekly basis that I have to do this. Hey! No. I'm serious. Yeah, I think just yesterday, or 2 days ago, a friend of mine came over and had a present for JJ, and she was sitting there, and he walked in and he's like, JJ, I got you something. And it was this like toy or something, and she looks at it and she just stares at it for a minute and she goes, there's no pink on it. I was just standing, I was like, what? And then boom, then full daddy lecture ensues about how it doesn't matter what you get, you always say thank you, and you know, blah, blah, blah. I was like, listen, it's like, well, what happens if there's no pink on it? Why would I say thank you? And I'm like, listen, kid, I'll march right upstairs, take every pink thing I find, and I will throw in that garbage if you don't say thank you right now. And so she, of course, was like, thank you. And I'm like, mean it. Thank you. Great. But it doesn't have to be, shut up! Kidding, I would never say shut up. But it was one of those things where it was really hard for me to keep a straight face because it's just such a child thing to, but it's not right. I don't want this, it's not me. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, teachable moment, and I have nothing to teach her.
We got a call from our Tom's teacher this year. He's a first grader, and he was 6, so it was before he turned 7. And apparently he had said a word in music class that wasn't welcome in the school. The word started with an F. Ended with UCK, but it wasn't fire truck. Yeah, and so we were like, okay, and so we get Tom home.
Wonder where you heard that from.
And so we get Tom home, and...
Me.
Like, Tom, what happened at school today? And he was very obviously like, oh, it was good. Yeah? Anything happen? No, we learned stuff. What about music? Music was good. Did you get in trouble? Yeah. And we're like, okay, what happened? He's like, I said something. And I think, who knows how it happened? He's like, well, one of my friends called me cow or something. I think they were saying stupid stuff in case. And anyways, we were finally like, Jen and I had discussed like, how do we go about this? And we were like, we're gonna make him say it to us. Like, what did you say? He's like, and he looks to us like, I'm gonna be in trouble if I say it. And so we're like, listen, buddy, you can say it to us. We need to hear what you said. You can't say it anywhere else. You can say it to mom and dad. We're asking you to tell us. And so he says it, and I think Jen, the way he was like, is this a trap? And so he says it, and Jen and I both kind of like under the table, like grabbing each other's legs, like, don't laugh you, don't laugh you. And why'd you say it? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, so can you say it anymore? And he goes, and he said it again, thinking that we were asking him to say it again. And we were like, no, I mean, are you allowed to say it anymore? Not say it again, but are you going to say it anymore? He's like, no. We're like, all right. It's just a funny, because I don't know what to do. I've never been in that position. So stuff like that, when they're saying words. And we also we don't baby talk around the kids. Like, they know.
Clearly.
They know the anatomical word for different parts of male and female bodies. And like we'll bathe Tom and Shep together, or we'll be changing or something, and we say, like, this is called this. We're trying not to make a stigma of it to where it becomes a big deal later. But now our 2-year-old, yeah, I mean, it's called what it is. But now our 2-year-old will say it when she wants to be provocative, and she'll look around like laughing. And you have to remain stone-faced so that they don't get a reaction, but it's really difficult because she knows it's going to get a reaction. She's kind of looking around. So that's two of the things that pop in my head that are G-rated enough to share. Thank you.
I'm fairly sure that there's one word in there that actually makes it an R rating. No? Yes!
It's PG-13 these days.
Maybe in your world.
I think it's PG-13.
You might be.
If you say it twice, it becomes R-rated.
Ah, 2 times, and Tom said it twice.
He did say it twice.
To be fair, he said it 3 times. Once in school and 2 in front of you, so...
He's already rated
He's NC-17 now.
Hi, how are you?
Yikes.
Hi, Jared. Hi, Jensen. My name's Natalie. And we know Sam and Dean have a baby, and other characters have their kind of iconic cars. If you two were hunters in that world or in the real world, what would you drive?
Tank.
Great gas mileage. Those things.
Because a 502 gets so much better.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, we need I would want like a James Bond car type thing that had missiles in the side and ejector seats and could go underwater and be invisible. Give me some gadgets.
Yeah,
I need
the
Q.
hunter world is full of lavish...
I need Q up in here. It doesn't have to be a fancy car, just something that has cool, like, remember Spy Hunter? When you have like the Cutlass Classic that could smoke screen and oil slick. Did no one play Spy Hunter? God, I'm old.
I know Spy Hunter. What are those? Oh, God, I can't think of the name of them. I think they're kind of like these big. They're almost like four-wheeling vans. They're like German. No, not a Hummer. What?
Pinsgauer?
No. I almost want to say it's like they call it like a U-boat or it's like a. No, that's something. But
Which would be awesome.
which would be. I want a U-boat on wheels. That's fire torpedoes.
That's my point!
Okay,
That's what I'm saying.
You have a good point. I don't know. The Impala is really hard to beat. It really is. You know, I think the only way that you could kind of maybe just from a cachet standpoint make an upgrade is to have like a really good pickup truck where you have a cover over the bed and that bed opens up and you just got a whole whack of weapons.
Like John's truck?
Like John's truck. Yeah.
Or Sterling's. Didn't Sterling have a truck?
Yeah, I think it'd have to be something with to make a bigger cachet. So, what about
An iPod.
An iPod? I don't know that those.
Tripod. I guess he means for a mounted gun. I was gonna say that would.
I don't know. What about Uber? It's like that Tom Cruise movie where he like shows up and he gets in the cab with Jamie Foxx. Yeah, literally. He's like, all right, you're my driver today. We're gonna go kill a bunch of people. What?
That's right. Easier travel.
Thank you. The most fun, I would say, we've had a lot of fun over the past 14 years, and let's see, some of the most fun that I personally have had has been in the moments between filming when we have the ping pong table set up and we have very heated games and they wait for us on set because we want to finish our game, or we're playing
What's fun is
or we're flying drones and crashing them into the side
the first
of the
fall
soundstage.
day where we go out either with baseball mitts or with
Or
a
a football, and start
Yeah.
throwing the football, or we used to have these little motorbikes that we'd like do races and stuff, and so we get a lot of downtime when we're filming because there's a lot of setups that are required. So he and I have always tried to fill that time with very entertaining things, and we've had a lot of fun doing that over the years. Yeah, thanks, pal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
question. It's the last question. Okay, this is it, right? It's the very last question. The very last question. It's the last question. Another question past this one. This one's the last one. It's the last. I think I got it, Rob. Here we go. It's the last question.
SBN family, meet Amy. Amy, say hi to your supernatural family. We all love Amy. Okay, so Amy, you are our last question, so it better be good. There are a lot of people and it's snowing outside.
It's a blizzard outside. So basically my question, well, okay. My question is actually...
I was fixing your hair. It's also a comb.
Awesome. Okay, so my question is, for both of you, but mostly for Jensen, because of his character, how much of the time...
I'm taking my comb back.
So how much of the time do you guys actually eat the food on set compared to how often you use this bucket?
We've gotten very good. I have had to get good at it a lot quicker and have to utilize this a little bit more, this technique. But if you watch, go back and you watch earlier seasons where our characters are eating, you know, mostly mine. You'll notice that throughout the scene, just shoveling food into my mouth, which is funny. It's awful after about the 5th take. So what I've started doing now, as you look at later seasons, I'll maybe take one bite at the beginning of the scene, and then I'll just kind of not eat the rest of the scene, but have like the pizza in my hand, like, and if you do some of these, you'd be like, right. Well, wait a second now. If you and I do. I've had, you know, the old like, right? Yeah, no, I get. But wait, if we're gonna go with that, okay, whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
He's also master's level in fitting the shape of his teeth into the already bite of the shape of his teeth. So if he has a hamburger, he'll take that.
Oh yeah. So I'll take one bite for like one take, and then we'll be like, okay, all right, we're gonna go take 2, and I'm like, yeah, no, we're still good with this one, and then I'll just be like this.
It's the same, just biting into the already bitten. There's still a perfect bite.
It's good.
Just chewed air.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
Earlier this season, you had to eat, and you were prepping food while you and Alex were having a conversation in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And we're like, what do you want to do? You're like, I want to be making a taco out of spaghetti. I'm like, okay, it's your show, man. And you did the whole thing where you never did the bite because you did the whole, you're prepping, you're holding it up, and then you're exasperated, you prep some more. You're, like, so it was very much about food.
The food was in the scene constantly, but food is never in the mouth.
Yeah. So the comedy was what you were making and how you're relating to it, but you never committed to having to do the
because then, and sometimes I have to commit. Like sometimes it's just like, listen, I'm gonna have to eat this, and I just suffer through it. And there's very few times when I'll actually need a spit bucket, but hey, you know, the things we do for our art.
Well, if you ate everything, you would be 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
At least.
This is true.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.